platinum open access, and this model is promising. In this model, there is no charge to authors and no charge to readers, and the content is open access, or in other words, free on the internet. The costs are paid by a scholarly society, an association, a university, or some similar organization. Unfortunately, there are not too many of these journals. Some call this model diamond open access. One problem with this model is that the journals using it often have tight budgets and are therefore unable to invest in things like copy editing and the promotion of the published articles. Next, we have delayed open access, and in this model, libraries pay for a subscription and the articles become open access after a time, for example, a year, benefiting those without a subscription. This model permits both high-quality subscription journals and open access after the delay. Finally, and most important for my talk today, we have gold open access. In this publishing model, authors are charged a fee by the publisher to publish in the journal. The fee is usually charged when the paper is accepted for publication, which now usually happens very quickly. The published content is then freely available to anyone on the internet. This model is a large change from the subscription model because the customers are the authors, not the libraries. Predatory publishers and journals are predatory because they prey on honest authors and researchers. They are counterfeit, copying the look and feel of the websites and practices of legitimate publishers, but really aiming only to do the minimum necessary to close the deal and get the money from the authors. By definition, predatory publishers are those that exploit the gold open access model for their own profit. They exploit the author's need to publish to certify themselves as researchers. They send personalized spam emails praising an author's earlier research paper while simultaneously inviting the submission of a new one. Some even access online conference programs and send solicitations to presenters right after their talks are done. Most predatory publishers do a fake or low-quality peer review, judging by what they publish and judging by the peer review reports that have been shared with me, reports that are generally just templates. Many predatory publishers falsely claim that they are associations or institutes or centers when they are really just one man with a computer in a small house in India. There are many that operate as a single mega journal, accepting essentially everything submitted. Overall, the chief characteristics of predatory publishers and journals are that they use deceit, they are not transparent, and they do not follow publishing industry standards. Now, as a summary, here are the main characteristics of predatory publishers and journals. They use deception, they don't tell the truth. They are not transparent. This means they do not provide information that publishers normally provide, such as their headquarters location, the name of the owner of the company, and other such information that publishers normally provide. They do not follow scholarly publishing industry standards and best practices. They do not follow normal procedures. However, if you ask them, they will tell you that they are perfect publishers. So let's take a closer look at some examples of predatory journals. Here is a screenshot of a spam email from a predatory journal. In this case, a standalone journal, a predatory mega journal. I've broken up the spam email into two screens, and this is the first. As you can see, the title of the journal is International Journal of Innovative Technology and Research. Imagine you maybe have received spam emails similar to this one, if not the same one. Looking at the journal's title, we see that it uses the term international. This is done intentionally because in many countries, researchers get more academic credit for publishing in international journals than in regional or national journals. And because predatory journals always want to increase their revenue, they want to appeal to the largest group of researchers. We see that the journal prominently displays its ISSN. Unfortunately, in some countries, researchers believe that if a journal has an ISSN, it is considered legitimate or approved by the government. This is not true, however, and having an ISSN is not a mark of quality because any journal can get one. Next, we see that the journal advertises an impact factor. This is a complete lie, as this journal has not earned any legitimate impact factor, and besides, this one doesn't even have the right number of digits to the right of the decimal. At the bottom of the page, we see that the journal uses a Gmail email address for article submissions, another indication of a low-quality operation. Looking now at the second half of the spam email, and we see that the journal has a 2-week period of time between submission and publication, and the peer review process takes only 7 days. It says, quote, deadline for submitting manuscript, 15th July 2015. Review result within 7 days of submission. Publication of volume 3, issue 4, 30th July 2015. According to the spam email, the publication fee is $60, and the published papers will be indexed in Google Scholar and Scribd, which is strange because Scribd is not an indexing service at all. They close by saying, we apologize if you received multiple emails. They should not be sending such spam emails in the first place, and all such emails should have an honest opt-out option. So let's take a look at a screenshot now, split again into 2 slides, of the website of a predatory megajournal. This is a screenshot of the homepage of a journal called International Journal of Advanced Research in Science, Engineering, and Technology. Again, we see the use of the word international in the title, a prominent display of the ISSN, and we see that the journal has a broad scope, everything in science, engineering, and technology. I'm pretty sure if we were to send an article about some aspect of arts and humanities, they would be happy to accept and publish it also, as long as we paid the money. What's most telling about this journal, however, is the prominent display of a fake impact factor. In a brightly colored circle, it proclaims an impact factor of 3.043. This again is completely false. The journal has not earned an impact factor, and they are trying to attract researchers needing impact factor publications into submitting their work here. In many countries, academic evaluation and advancement are based, at least partially, on getting articles published in impact factor journals. Now, I prepared this slide back in 2016, and you can surely see the new small screenshot I added to the right side. Looking at the journal's website as I prepared for this talk, I noticed that the journal has actually increased its own fake impact factor, now up to 4.436, since I prepared the original slide. Fake impact factors always go up, they never go down. Now here is another part of this journal's website, enlarged for easier viewing. It says paper submission, 23rd February 2017, author notification within 5 days, and journal publication 28th February 2017, last week. Never before in history has scholarly publishing been so fast or so easy And this is what the predatory and questionable publishers are really selling. Not all predatory journals are as transparent about their fast peer review turnaround times as this one is. In fact, most of them will claim they carry out a standard and honest peer review. Evaluating peer review is the most difficult part of analyzing scholarly journals because the process is confidential and often blinded. However, in some cases, authors have shared peer review reports with me, and we can also judge a journal's peer review based on the quality and scientific soundness of its published articles. So here are 3 predatory business journals. There are hundreds of predatory business journals, and I think this is because there are so many universities that offer classes in business, and there are many business faculty, and they need to publish articles. Also, the business faculty like to start publishing companies because they are business experts and know how to start new companies. The journal on the left is called Research Journal I's Journal of Commerce. This journal uses a picture of a pretty girl to draw attention to the journal. On its website, it claims an impact factor of 2.02. It's based in India, and it costs $88 to publish in this journal. It's one of 34 journals from this publisher, which is called Research Journal I. The second journal, the one in the middle, is called Open Journal of Economic Research. It's from a publisher called Academy Publish that claims to be based in the United States, but I think it's really based in China. It just uses an address in America to trick people into thinking it's based there. Note the journal's broad scope. It will publish all papers in economics. We already have many economics journals, and we do not need many new ones, especially this one. I can only find 2 editorial board members for this journal, though it has published 4 issues in 2 volumes, but some of the issues only have 1 article. The journal says it charges $1,000 per article, but it also says it gives a 75% discount. The journal on the right is the Asian Journal of Business and Management Sciences, and it appears to be the only journal published by the Society for Business Research Promotion. I think this is a fake society. The journal says it charges $200 to publish an article plus some transaction fees, but it does not say where it is based. It uses a fake name on its editorial board, Dr. Paul Jones, and it says he's based in England. Again, the headquarters of this journal is a complete mystery to me, and I would never submit a paper to a journal unless I was sure I knew where it was based. So many people ask me how I became interested in predatory publishers. I began working as an academic librarian in 1990, and I've done research since then. In 2008 and 2009, I started to receive strange emails inviting me to submit to strange library science journals, journals I had never heard of before, including journals based in Nigeria and India. The journals copied the coverage of existing journals, and the spam emails contained many grammatical mistakes. My first publication about predatory publishers was in a library science journal in 2009, and I invented the term predatory publisher in 2010. I started my blog in January 2012. I was recently compelled to end my work identifying predatory publishers and journals. I've learned that even with the protections from tenure, university administrators have ways of making people stop some research. I understand that the term predatory does not translate well into all languages, and it may no longer be the best term to describe the concept. Overall, the word itself is not so important. I think what's important is helping researchers avoid becoming the victims of the predatory publishers. I also want to clarify that not all open access journals are predatory. There are some that function well and they are completely ethical. As you know, universities and colleges use scholarly publications as a measure of academic achievement. Academic managers, such as deans, want objective and fair evaluation methods, so things like lists and bibliometrics, such as the impact factor, they like these things because it makes the evaluation easier. However, because of the appearance of predatory journals, scholarly publishing has changed, but evaluation systems have not changed so much. With predatory journals, it is very easy now to get an article published in an open access journal. All you need is a manuscript and $100 or $200 and you can get published. Therefore, evaluation systems based on counting are no longer valid because it's so easy to make your number of publications increase. Some researchers take advantage of the easy publishing offered by predatory journals. At many universities, academic evaluation is broken because the evaluation is based on counting published articles, and some researchers publish many articles in predatory journals. Some universities use white lists of approved journals and give academic credit only for articles published in journals on the white list. But one problem with white lists is that many try to find the list's easiest journals. You get the same credit for publishing in the easiest journal on the white list as you do for publishing in the most selective journal on the white list. Then the honest researchers who publish in the top journals feel cheated. They work harder, they have fewer publications, so they get less credit, but their work is higher quality and takes longer to publish. In August 2016, the United States Federal Trade Commission filed a lawsuit against Omics International, the most notorious publisher and conference organizer that was on my list. According to the FTC's press release, quote, the FTC's complaint alleges that Omics Group Incorporated, along with 2 affiliated companies and their president and director, Srinubabu Gadella, claim that their journals follow rigorous peer review practices and have editorial boards made up of prominent academics. In reality, many articles are published with little or no peer review, and numerous individuals represented to be editors have not agreed to be affiliated with the journals, end quote. Note that Omics International is also known as Omics Group, and the 2 other companies mentioned in the lawsuit are called iMedPub, a predatory medical publisher owned by Omics, and ConferenceSeries.com, Omics' scholarly conference division. Many startup predatory publishers have copied the corrupt practices of Omics Group, leading to a surplus of predatory publishers, including many based in Hyderabad, India. With author-pays open access, academic libraries are removed from the formula. There is no journal subscription to pay for and manage. The authors finance the publishing of the journal and are the consumers. Thus, they deserve protection as consumers. Unfortunately, there are no organizations or associations that represent scholarly authors as consumers, but there are many publisher organizations. So here I'd like to explain quickly some of the ways that predatory publishers hurt science, scientists, and the communication of science and research. Moreover, because the public at large is often an end user of science, the public eventually is negatively affected by predatory publishers. First, in my opinion, predatory publishing has introduced much research misconduct into higher education and into the scholarly record. Second, much junk science gets published in predatory journals, and this in turn is indexed in academic indexes that students use, such as Google Scholar. Third, predatory publishers are destroying demarcation. This is the line that divides authentic science from pseudoscience or junk science, the line that peer review is supposed to enforce. An example of demarcation is the line, the division between astrology and astronomy. As you know, research is cumulative, and new research builds on research already recorded in the academic record, and predatory publishers are poisoning the cumulative nature of research. Next, many people in society use research, not only researchers. Public policy planners use research, lawyers use published research in court, doctors translate published research into clinical practice, and journalists regularly report on published research. Fifth, there's now a practice called activist research, which is the practice of using predatory journals for political reasons. Someone in Russia, for example, is publishing articles in predatory journals claiming that asbestos is not harmful because they want to change policies in countries that ban the import of asbestos. There's also conspiracy theory science, which involves using predatory journals to add a scientific veneer to conspiracy theories. Predatory publishers are also polluting taxonomy, which is the naming of plant and animal species. Many predatory publishers also organize scholarly conferences, and the evidence I've seen indicates that they tend to be poorly organized. They tend to be held in tourist spots like Las Vegas and Hawaii, and some conference organizers hold up to 4 conferences at the same time in the same hotel. There are even some conferences where every paper wins the Best Paper Award. Next, I've seen evidence that some people involved in the creation of chemical compounds and medicines are writing positive articles in predatory journals claiming that the medicines are effective. Finally, the author fees that publishers charge are increasingly preventing poorer researchers from publishing their research. The fees are a barrier. So as I mentioned, I have been studying predatory publishers since about 2008, and until very recently, my work chiefly consisted of a blog. I had a list of predatory publishers and a list of predatory standalone journals. The blog also had a criteria document that I used in analyzing new journals and publishers for inclusion on the list. I received and still received tips about new journals and publishers from all over the world. My work was not perfect. I made some mistakes. Several publishers threatened to sue me. None actually filed a lawsuit. The university attorney represented me. I used to write two blog posts each week describing the craziness of the predatory publishers or describing new ones that recently appeared. My blog is still available on the Wayback Machine. However, some of the publishers regularly changed their names. They were hiding from the listing, so keeping the list current was a lot of work. There is one company in Texas that is saying that they will start publishing a blacklist this spring, and that company is called Cabela's. So we'll see what happens with that. I think that researchers can be harmed indirectly by predatory publishers, that is to say, without submitting any manuscripts to them. Researchers are victimized by the spam. If you are writing a literature review, sooner or later you have to decide which journals or which articles to include and which to exclude. Do you cite papers published in a predatory journal? How do you decide which to cite and which to exclude? If you are writing a review article, a systematic review, Meta-analysis, you have to deal with the presence of articles in predatory journals. Even if you use a good database for searching, it's possible the database may have made a mistake. Other victims include the faculty members who take the high road and publish in the top journals when their colleagues publish in the easy predatory journals. And finally, students are also victims. Most predatory journals are fully indexed in Google Scholar, the world's most used academic database. The students, especially undergraduates, may lack the experience to separate the honest science from the junk science.